Oh, hey, Sam. Hey, I owe you an apology, but what the hell? It's YouTube, right? So, sorry. Should have got back to you 100 years ago. I was in a pretty silly mood the last time I recorded, but this time I'm doing a little better. Unfortunately, I had an uncle pass away. He was going to be 87, about, 3 weeks after he died. He just about turned 87. And then, of course, Dad and I got sick, then he got sick, and what the hell. Here we are, here we go. Okay, life-changing events. I know before I said it was travel, and it was travel. Something interesting happened when I was traveling in Europe on the first visit, I think it was. And I'll talk about that in the next video. Instead, I want to talk about an event or series of events that really shaped my thinking and my outlook. Let's see, I was born in 57, so 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63. I was 6 years old in kindergarten when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. See, I'm old. I tried to tell you, but what the hell. So when he was shot, here you have the whole country falling apart, people crying. And when I say people, I mean the mailman, the milkman. There were actually milkmen and mailmen then. And people you saw in the streets. The teachers were crying. My sister's junior high school, they dedicated the yearbook to Kennedy. The thing of it was that as a 6-year-old, seeing this catastrophe, this handsome young man with his beautiful wife getting murdered and the country falling apart, and you think your whole foundation of your world is the stability of the people around you and your parents, and though my parents didn't really fall apart per se, it was such a traumatic thing, and it was compounded by just a few days later on TV. I was watching TV as a little boy. I see this guy step out and shoot Oswald and kill him on TV. It was like, what the hell? Remember, no internet, not a whole lot of live stuff going on, but this was live, and he shot and murdered the guy. So it was really kind of strange and affected my equilibrium, I think. And then not long after that, few years, Martin Luther King gets assassinated. And shortly after that, Robert Kennedy was assassinated. And at the same time, you had the campuses all over the country, especially in California, protesting the whole Vietnam War and all the violence and the fighting. And at the same time, the Beatles came along, oh, thank you very much, and they got the girly hair at the time, considered girly hair. Now it's short compared to so many other people. Heck, look at your hair compared to what the Beatles' hair was. It's normal now, right? But my dad had physical fights with my brother as a teenager to get a haircut. This was the day of crew cuts and shaved heads and Vietnam and all that BS, right? Now, I wasn't like, the older people that fought in the war. Those are the ones who experienced it firsthand, but I got the echoes of that whole time as a kid on TV, and the body counts. You had Walter Cronkite, and they got to the point where they would show behind them on the screen a list or a graphic of how many Vietnamese were killed and how many Americans were killed. And you could see the body counts on the evening news. All these things were going on, and it really, really had an effect on me. It had an effect on, viewing the world as a stable place, of wondering what the heck was going on with all of this. And it really did have an effect on my worldview. When I finally went to Europe, which I told you was the event that really had an effect on me, it affected how I viewed people all over the world that I ran into and that I traveled and met. To see, why the hell do they hurt each other? Why do they do these things? Why are people so, I just wanted to see, is there any difference anywhere? Where do we come from? I wanted to go to Greece. I wanted to see where all the mythology was born. I wanted to, I've always been interested in a bigger picture than just my own neighborhood. And that's how travel was involved, because it was related to all of this. And it was at the time that all this was happening in the world around me, all the rioting on the campuses in California fighting, and I mean, it was really a brutal time that I heard of an event that I didn't know existed. And I was really angry when I heard about it. And I was as angry about, well, I'm not going to give it away because I'm going to talk about that in my next video. This is way too long, I'm sure. But suffice it to say that those events sort of that I talked about in my environment, the death of Kennedy and King and the other Kennedy, Robert, and all the riots trying to stop the war and all the information coming at us at that time when I was from 6 to 13, 14. And then I learned something when I was probably about 8 or 9 that really, really upset me. And I'll talk about that in the next video. Thanks for being patient, you damn foreigner. All right.